Welcome back. One of the most dreaded terrorists in the world, the founder of Al-Qaeda, Ayman al-Zawahiri, was killed in a U.S. missile strike on Sunday. Zawahiri was taken out from a safe house barely a couple of kilometers from the U.S. Embassy in Kabul and from the presidential palace. How was the world's most dreaded terrorist able to get such safe sanction at such a high-security part of the Afghan capital without the Taliban or even their benefactors in Pakistan not knowing about it?
Ayman al-Zawahiri, one of the most wanted terrorists in the world, is dead. The Al-Qaeda chief was killed in a drone strike carried out by the US in downtown Kabul. Al-Zawahiri had been in hiding for years, but a few months ago, the CIA traced him to this safe house. Al-Zawahiri was on the balcony when he was targeted with 2 Hellfire missiles early in the morning on the 31st of July. These pictures, which are purportedly of his residence, show the windows blown out on one floor, but the rest of the building appears intact. According to the US, only al-Zawahiri was killed in the strike. His family members were at home, but unharmed.
I authorized the
Addressing the nation, US President Joe Biden hoped al-Zawahiri's death will bring closure to the families of nearly 3,000 people who died on 9/11.
To the families who lost fathers and mothers, husbands, wives, sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, friends and co-workers on that searing September day, it is my hope that this decisive action will bring one more measure of closure.
It's the biggest blow to the Al-Qaeda since its founder and 9/11 mastermind, Osama bin Laden, was killed in 2011. After bin Laden was taken out in a dramatic night raid by US troops in Pakistan's Abbottabad. It was al-Zawahiri who took over the Al-Qaeda. He rebuilt its leadership in the Afghan-Pakistan border region and was the supreme leader of its branches in Iraq, Asia and Yemen. But just 15 hours before the hit on al-Zawahiri in Kabul, Taliban's Interior Minister Sirajuddin Haqqani told CNN News 18 that the Al-Qaeda has no presence in Afghanistan.
With regard to Al-Qaeda, it has no presence in Afghanistan and is no more a threat, and the world is required not to feel threatened about the already dead outfit.
So did Ayman al-Zawahiri receive sanctuary from the Taliban following the group's takeover of Afghanistan last year?
All right. So how could Ayman al-Zawahiri, one of the most dreaded terrorists in the world, be seeking safe refuge in a safe house barely a couple of kilometers from the Afghan presidential palace? Dr. Kabar Chima, strategic analyst, joining us. Ambassador Ashraf Hydari's ambassador of Afghanistan to Sri Lanka, and G. Parthasarathy, former diplomat. Kabar Chima, I'll start with you first. The Haqqanis are the de facto rulers of Afghanistan. Everybody knows that Pakistan and powerful people in Pakistan are the ones who are backing the Haqqanis. And here you have the world's most dreaded terrorist. Not for the first time. This is the second time that the world's most dreaded terrorist, one of them, is found in a safe house owned by a member of the Haqqani family, 2 kilometers from the presidential palace, and neither the Haqqanis nor Pakistan knew about it?
Well, I think, first of all, the Afghan Taliban have gave a serious blow to the confidence where a deal was struck between the Americans and the Taliban in Doha. So I think the confidence has shaken. One thing. Second thing is that I think what the Haqqani network is saying, that they don't know about the Al-Qaeda, and the Al-Qaeda doesn't have any kind of a presence. They were trying to undermine the influence of Al-Qaeda. And it was told back many years ago and even few months ago that the Taliban still have contact with the Al-Qaeda, and they didn't stop that contact because they wanted to eliminate Islamic State. And I think, to my understanding and knowledge, Taliban and Al-Qaeda, they together wanted to eliminate Islamic State. They believe that that is a bigger threat. But I think this strike tells that the Americans still have a huge intelligence network in Afghanistan after 2 decades.
Okay.
So this is something big, and this is something good. All those countries who fought against terrorism and Al-Qaeda.
Ambassador Ashraf Hydari, isn't it worrying that even today, after the Taliban takeover and the Taliban committed in the Doha Accords that they will not allow the Afghan soil to be used to launch any terrorist attacks or to give safe sanctuary to any terrorists. And yet, 2 kilometers from the presidential palace, here is one of the world's most dreaded terrorists killed in a missile strike.
Absolutely. We have never been surprised by such news, having always known the ideological and operational links between the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, and of course, Pakistan's ISI. And as you just pointed out, or our colleague there, that the CIA has always known about these links from back, 80s, 90s, and of course, over the past 20 years. So it comes as no surprise because the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan and the leadership had been warning about such links, and that's why the Afghan forces have been fighting not just the Taliban, but as well as Al-Qaeda and a number of other regional Pakistan-based, Pakistan-supported terrorist networks, including ETIM, that of course targets China, and as well as IMU, Islamic Movement of Uzbekistan, that is now in northern Afghanistan, focusing on Central Asia and even Russia. So this is undisputable now proof of the fact what we have always been saying to be the truth, and that the world has just watched it happen this weekend.
Ambassador Barsarfi, we know that just 10 years ago, Osama bin Laden was killed in Abbottabad, deep inside Pakistan, and 10 years hence, today, you have the news of Ayman al-Zawahiri being killed right in the heart of Kabul, at a time when Pakistan's own proxies are ruling that country. I mean, and yet we are led to believe by the Americans and everybody else that Pakistan is doing its best on the war on terror?
Let me take you back in history. Ayman al-Zawahiri and Osama bin Laden crossed into Pakistan from Afghanistan together. There is no question of their having been aside. But the Osama was taken to Abbottabad and lodged in a military's house, the house of a Pakistan military. And the Americans spotted and killed him there. But Ayman al-Zawahiri that was a house reserved for Osama, but Ayman al-Zawahiri was housed elsewhere by the ISI. And the fact of the matter is, he was under their protection till they made him join up with the Taliban. Mm-hmm. So he was sent back to the Taliban because the ISI was training the Taliban then to fight the Americans. That is the reality, and let's not have some smart aleck try to change history on that. Now he's supposed to have gone back to Afghanistan, which apparently he did. There is no reason to believe he was not in touch with the ISI at that point in time, because he was when he came into Pakistan. Mm-hmm. And therefore, when he went there and the transfer of power took place when the Americans put their tails between their legs and ran from Afghanistan, the fact of the matter is that these people, he had to be accommodated somewhere. He had always had a good relationship with the Taliban.
Okay.
Therefore, he was housed in Kabul. It couldn't have been done without Taliban approval. And the fact of the matter is, for years he was under Pakistani control, because he came in with Osama bin Laden, who got caught much earlier in Abbottabad, and he was his deputy. Mind you, he was also Osama bin Laden's physician. Ayman al-Zawahiri is a qualified doctor, and throughout his stay with Imran Khan, not with Imran. Imran's done many other things, but not Osama. But throughout his stay, he was very much in touch in Abbottabad with Osama bin Laden.
Kamal Shiva, the point that everybody is asking is that ultimately, this is a white lie. Everybody knows Ayman al-Zawahiri was given sanctuary in Pakistan. And in fact, even today, there are some American media reports suggesting that he was in Pakistan up until Imran Khan was in power. It's only in the last few months that he was brought to Kabul and given safe sanctuary there.
So I think, what does it cost you to say that al-Zawahiri left last week, or rather saying that he was here in power till the Imran Khan was in power? So I think that it doesn't make any sense. Al-Qaeda has been present everywhere. It was present in the US, in the Europe, in India, in Pakistan, in the entire region, even in Central Asia. So calling that, where is Al-Zawahiri? And I think the Americans...
including in Abbottabad, 60 kilometers from Islamabad.
For 20 years, they couldn't find him during this stay, and they would have taken it as a badge while going back that they eliminated Al-Zawahiri, they eliminated Osama.
What I'm asking you is, you are agreeing that it is entirely plausible that Zawahiri was in Pakistan on Pakistani soil up until a few months ago, up until perhaps, let's say, the Taliban came to power in Afghanistan.
No, I'm saying that what does it cost you to say that the way you are saying that he was in Pakistan till Imran Khan was in office. So I'm saying, what does it cost you to say that he was here till 1 month ago? So do not go for blame game and speculation. You are a very responsible media. What you need to come up is that he was found in Kabul, he was hit there, and he got killed there. That is the news.
He got hit in Kabul in a building apparently owned by the Haqqanis, and everybody knows that the Haqqanis were propped, financed, trained by the ISI. I mean, it's what would it cost you? What would it cost you, Kamar Shima? Let me use the same phrase that you use. What would it cost you to accept that? It's a recorded fact of history. But anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. I want to play out as we wrap up, as I thank my guests, an interview that we did, my colleague Anand Narasimhan did, with Sirajuddin Haqqani. He is the de facto ruler of Afghanistan. And as a caveat, this interview was recorded before the hit on Zawahiri was ordered. It was about 15 hours before, barely a couple of blocks from where Zawahiri was hit. This is that special interview.
But Mr. Sirajuddin Haqqani, the Indian security establishment, the people at large have several concerns, largely about terror outfits like the Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Lashkar-e-Toiba in Afghanistan and the threat posed by them to Indian interests. Do you agree?
Afghanistan was at war with the external forces since 40 years, and the last 20 years we have been fighting the world for our legitimate rights. Our soil is not meant for foreigners, but it belongs to the people of Afghanistan, and we have assured to the neighboring regional countries and to the world that the soil of Afghanistan will be used against any of the countries of the world.
But Mr. Haqqani, our security establishment, our intelligence agencies have confirmed locations, specific locations with latitude, longitude, coordinates of Jaish and Lashkar camps operating out of Afghanistan soil. You are in charge of security in Afghanistan. You are the interior minister. So let me ask you this. If at any stage, if the Indian government gives you specific coordinates and locations of these camps, will you be able to act and operate together with the Indian agencies?
Their fears do not have any base. We wish to have cordial relations with India, and such fears seem to be misplaced and undesirable.
What guarantee of security would you provide to Indian diplomatic institutions, projects and businessmen in Afghanistan at this stage when they want to operate normally?
I have already mentioned previously that such fears are baseless, and we have established peace in the country and ensured that everyone in Afghanistan is safe and secure. We have ensured that the business establishments, national institutions and foreign investments are safe and secure. We have security forces in place to provide security to these establishments, including all the diplomatic institutions. There is no credible fear for the projects, investments. The Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan will prepare ground for their operations without any fear. We firmly assure you.
Mr. Haqqani, another area of concern and a growing concern is the threat of Daesh Khorasan and also very, very critical inputs, confirmed inputs regarding the network of Al-Qaeda affiliates operating out of Afghanistan. What is your take on this?
As we have promised to the world, also the Islamic world is in arms against the ISIS. To control and throw it out, many steps have been taken. With regard to Al-Qaeda, it has no presence in Afghanistan and is no more a threat, and the world is required not to feel threatened about the already dead outfit.